Welcome to Herf Zone Live, the show that is unlike any other cigar show, where we have the most eclectic lineup of guests, of which some smoke cigars and some who don't. Either way, we bring you the best content weekly. Herf Zone Live is sponsored by StogieLives.com. If you're looking for a new social media source that is cigar friendly, you don't have to worry about anything, you don't have to worry about all the censorship. Check out StogieLives.com and you can make a profile, you can make events, post on your wall, share pictures, all that good stuff, and see what everyone is talking about. StogieLives.com. And if you look in the YouTube and Facebook description, Hearthstone Live and Team Shirtless Mike is partnering with Stogie Press and Ace Prime Cigars to promote a fundraiser that they're raising money for the people of Jalapa, Nicaragua. And it's a cigar producing country, so you can look at the article about everything that's being done in the meantime, and then you could go find out how to make a donation and everything like that. So we're gonna go ahead and play the intro, and we're gonna get this show started. And now, waiting patiently in the Cigar Hustlers podcast green room, we have Jose Enrique Ortega, and he is the rep for Ashton Cigars here in Florida, also La Roma de Cuba, and San Cristobal Cigars. Sorry about that. Tonight I'm smoking a La Roma de Cuba, and so we're gonna go ahead and bring Jose on the show. 1 second. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hanging in there. Fantastic. Just loving life. Again, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be able to chop it up with you once again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had a nice little conversation. We got looks like we got Long Island, New York checking in right now. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, so how was your day today, man?
It was busy, man. Good, effective day. Just another day in the office, I guess, or should I say, in the cigar shop.
Yep.
And I'm grateful. I get to visit cigar shops on a daily basis, and go enjoy what everybody covets. And when it comes to Eastern Florida, I'm fortunate that I do business with the best of them. So it's some really nice cigar shops and lounges.
Nice. So we're gonna just get into the interview here. As the comments keep pouring in, I'll post some. But we're gonna go back to the very, very beginning here. So tell us about your early days and what it was like growing up in your household.
Oh man, I mean, early days. Um, how far back do we want to go, man? The first 5 years of my life, I grew up in Panama, so I spent a lot of time with family, big family. Both my parents are from Panama, so um, on my dad's side, easily 10, 15 cousins, and always messing around. Then we did move to North Carolina when I was like 5, and that was again, my dad was in the military, so to,
Okay.
to speak to what it was like, it was basically a lot of discipline, a lot of order, um, and uh, that at least made me very responsible with school, with the things that I needed to tend to, whether it was sports or whatever it may be. Um, and and of course, I did have my older brother always there to kind of, you know put me in line as well. So there was a lot of discipline, a lot of people keeping me from going in the wrong directions.
Yeah. Now, your dad was in the military, so what branch was he in and all that?
So my dad, God bless his heart, man. He was in the Marines.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, he was in the Marines, and he was in tanks for most of his time in the Marines, and he did every spot, man. The gunner, the tank commander, the this, the that. So every position, the loader. Um, is funny. As a kid, my dad once brought home an empty shell of a tank, uh, you know, tank munition or whatever it's called. I don't know, man. But
Yeah.
it was like ginormous. It was super cool, man. So
Awesome.
that's the kind of stuff that my old man would do with the Marines. Um, but yeah,
Awesome. Now you and your brother, you guys have the same name. Your brother, as most people in the cigar industry, know your brother and everything, so both having the same name. And I think one time you were telling me that your dad has this, you guys all three have the same name. Like, how did all that happen? I've heard a kind of a story, but tell the people about how all that came to be. You guys have the same name.
so yeah, Mike. It's one of those things that all my life it's been kind of comical. It goes right along with my identity, with who I am. Um, at the end of the day, uh, what ended up happening is that when my brother was born, my dad wanted to name his firstborn after his dad. So my grandfather's name is Jose Felix Ortega, like Felix the cat, right?
Hmm.
Um, now, a little backstory: my old man was orphan at 15. Um, my granddad died in a car accident, the whole thing. So it was a big deal for him to name, at least for my father, it was a big deal for
Yeah.
him to name my brother after my grandfather. And so my grandfather's literally Jose Felix Ortega. Well, so is my brother. Now, here I come along, and I don't know why, but I think my mom maybe had suggested, but she said, "Hey, why don't you name your second son after you? You know, Jose Enrique Ortega." And so there it was born. The whole concept of anytime a friend would come to the door, they either ask for little Jose, big Jose, or old Jose. If it was a phone call, it was either little Jose, big Jose, or old Jose, right?
Yeah.
Um, it was so confusing to answer the phone and have somebody say, "Now, please speak to Jose," and you're like, "Well, okay, which one?" You
Especially
know?
the telemarketers. That's what I used to do. And I used to get that all the time. Like, which one? Big one, little one?
Yeah, yeah. So, but thank God, like those were the childhood days, right? Um, Now as adults, we've been fortunate that life has taken us in different directions at times, and we haven't really had too much issue with the name until I
Yeah.
came to the cigar industry.
Yeah.
Um, when I came into the cigar industry, so I was fortunate. I was working in retail. Retail wasn't a big deal. A lot of the reps kind of knew my brother, so they embraced me, just on the basis that my brother was Jose, and they wanted to be cool with Jose's brother. And of course,
Yeah.
I was in the cigar shop, so they wanted me to sell their product too. Um,
Exactly.
so long story short, I got into the cigar industry, man, and everybody referred to me as Jose's brother, Jose's brother, Jose's brother. Well, once I was in, I started thinking to myself, well, I got to wear a suit and tie anyways. And the ties were really getting in my food when I would go to dinner. I'd come back from the restaurant or whatever, ties in the food. Ties getting jammed up in the boxes that I'm carrying because, you're doing events and you're carrying shirts and stuff and ashtrays. Man, so I got tired of the ties. So I tried a bow tie one day, and everybody had something to say about it. It was like, man, that bow tie is super cool. Hey, and so I took it as a blessing in disguise. I was like, well, people are noticing me. People are commenting. People are giving me really nice compliments. Let me get more of these things. And so I started doing it. And so that's where I differentiated myself from my brother.
Awesome.
So that way,
Now, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, no, I interrupted you. I apologize.
So yeah, so so there's through the years, there's always been a very close relation between my brother and myself through the name, through everything. We have a lot of mutual friends, a lot of mutual contacts because of it. So it's been a blessing and a curse at the same time because I've always been
Yeah.
a little brother.
Awesome. Now we're gonna take it we're gonna get into this. So, when did you initially get into cigars, and how long have you been smoking cigars? And then we'll talk about getting into the industry, but just getting into it just as a cigar smoker at first.
I was 19. I arrived to Miami um, for a summer break, and so I'm staying at my brother's house. I got a cousin that's the same age as me, 19, and he invites me out to party. So we go to a party. And now we're talking about 1997. That was probably at the height of the cigar boom, right before it started to become just the industry again, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so everybody and their mother was making a cigar, everybody and their mother was smoking them. And at this party, there must have been at least two guys that came in saying that they were in the cigar industry. If you ask me who they are, I don't know, Mike, because at that time I was so disconnected from the cigar.
yeah.
I didn't know, but I took their cigar and I lit it up and I smoked one and I enjoyed it and I thought it was great. So I started smoking here and there, very irregularly, but I fell in love with it when I went to a cigar shop and I picked out a cigar and I sat down with this gentleman that back then I was 20. Now, in retrospect, he was not an old man because he was probably my age. He was about 40, 43 or so, somewhere in there, you know? And the fact that he asked me what I was smoking and he took the time to talk with me to engage, to share about cigars, it captured my attention. I said, you know, if this is the way that cigar people behave, I want to be a part of it. He was a businessman, you know, somebody who looked successful, owned his own company, and he shared some wisdom with me, and we shared laughs and cut up and everything. But I found what everybody talks about, the brotherhood, you know, the brothers of the leaf. That's what I found that moment, and I fell in love with it from that very moment. And so I gotta say, irregularly, I was smoking from the time I was 19 till just before I turned 30. Then that's when I really started smoking as a real consumer, smoking a lot, trying different things, and uh, and then later on, I decided I really wanted to be a part of the industry.
Awesome. Now, how did you get into the cigar industry initially? I know you said you started in retail, so take us from there, and then we'll lead into other things. So don't go too far.
Okay. Well, it was simple. I was working for this pharmaceutical distributor, and the company was bought out. It actually went into receivership, and they ended up getting bought out. And then the company had a sales team, so the salespeople were let go and they moved to Tennessee and the whole thing. So I ended up unemployed, and I was at a friend's cigar shop in Kendall, you know, Tobacco Breeze. God bless his heart, you know, Suhair. He asked me, "Hey, what are you doing hanging out? You never hang out on a daily basis, right?" And I'm like, "Man, you know, I'm unemployed, you know." So he offered me to work at the shop because he was starting something else that was going to distract him from the store, and he needed some help, you know, in with the store, and I needed some hours, and I got involved. And of course, I started learning about cigars more in depthly, right?
Yeah.
Beyond beyond being a consumer, I wanted to know the filler, the wrapper, the binder, the this, the that, and I couldn't get enough information. You know, that's when it really started to consume.
Awesome. And so you got into the retail and everything, and so was Ashton like, was the Ashton brand and all that? Was that like the first venture into being a rep
Yeah.
for you? Okay, so now how long have you been a rep for Ashton, and how did you get hooked up with them?
So, uh, man, it's again, I attribute it to my brother's name. You know, I gotta say it's opened many doors for me, and I've walked through them, and I've made sure to shine while I'm there. Um, but I ended up. It was the trade show in Orlando. I ended up picking up my brother from the Ashton dinner at the time. I had no affiliation, and I ended up it was late. It was already, they were wrapping up, and I was just picking them up because we were going to go have a drink afterwards. Um, and long story short, I ended up meeting Robbie Levin and uh, Satya Levin, our owners. And I had just read the interview of Robbie Levin with Cigar Aficionado years before, and it talked about some really interesting things. And what it offered me was an opportunity to kind of ask my own questions to Robbie, and he was so approachable and so nice, and it really wowed me. And then Satya and I, over a drink, just kind of had some discussions about the industry and where it was going and what was happening and this and that. And I was fortunate enough to get invited to go to Philadelphia. And while I was in Philadelphia, I was actually traveling with very privileged to travel with this type of company. I remember it was Pete Johnson, Johnny Garcia, my brother. So I ended up going with them to do an event at Holt's, and I helped them sell cigar boxes, but at the same time, it was a great opportunity for me to share with Satya and just get to learn the culture of the company and everything. And I remember asking him, if there was ever an opportunity for me to work for his company, that I would feel honored, to do so. And that's kind of where it sparked, and we discussed it, and we finally came to an idea that I would go and work in the store, and I would learn the culture of the company. I would learn more about cigars, which I was in heaven about, right? I mean, I get
Hmm.
to go to Philadelphia. I've never been to Philadelphia, by the way.
Yeah.
Besides that one time that I was up there. Beautiful city. If you ever have a chance, Mike, you got to go. Okay.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I have some connections out there. I just need to go out there eventually. So.
But that was kind of the birth into um, into 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 the cigar world, right? And then working at Holtz was a beautiful beautiful opportunity. Um, but what ended up happening is that one day I just got called. I was at the store and they told me, "Hey, you need to come up to the Northeast where the corporate office is." So I did, and I walked into an interview. Um, and I was, man, I think I stained my pants. Um, but, I mean, it was everybody. Mira Levin, Satya Levin, Robbie Levin, Andy Green, Chip, Michael Walter, everybody, all the executives, owners, etc. And everybody's asking questions. And I didn't realize that this was an interview, and it turned into a beautiful interview and a great opportunity. I didn't know that it was going to be for Florida, and then I found out maybe a month later that it would be that I was being hired as an Ashton rep now, and that I had been fortunate enough to end up in Florida.
Awesome. Now, what are your personal favorite cigars out of all the cigars that you sell? Out of the Ashton, La Roma de Cuba, San Cristobal. What are some of your favorite cigars that you personally enjoy? That you sell.
Oh, okay. So out of the cigars that we sell, our portfolio is extensive. I mean, you're familiar with it. So
Yep.
Ashton in itself, we have 7 different blends. And La Roma de Cuba, we have 5 different blends if you count. I'm sorry, 6 if you count Pasión that's coming out in October, by the way. Super excited. I feel like a little giddy schoolboy, excitement waiting to be able to have it and smoke it. And then San Cristobal, we have 5 different blends there as well. So, but look, if it's early morning and I'm drinking a nice, café con leche on the stronger side, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna like something like the San Cristobal Elegancia. right? Maybe even the H Maduro, right? The Ashton H Maduro. A lot of people think that the H Maduro is a strong cigar, but it's not. It's a really chocolatey, mild to medium. It really approaches on that medium, but it's mild to medium, man. And it's just a beautiful, easy cigar. I wish more people would give it a try, so that they could, fall in love with it like I have. I'm smoking a VSG. I mean, the evening time, like now that I've had a long day, I've done my thing. This is what I want. I want something a little fuller, maybe a Mia More Reserva, um,
Hmm.
a San Andreas or Squirrel Wrapper, just with the Nicaraguan filler and binder. It's just it's flavorful. It's what the palate needs after a long day of eating, smoking, and everything else. So
Hmm.
you
Because
know,
there's like a difference when you're smoking for work. You try to smoke something you're very familiar with because you're not able to concentrate on it. But once you're able to concentrate on it, then you just want something that's just gonna really just be like, wow, this puts you in a good place mentally.
yes, yes, and I now I'm one of those people that I truly believe that I can enjoy my cigar even through my work day, right? When I go and I'm in a meeting with somebody, my retailers are friends. They're people that I mean, Mike, December,
Yep.
8 years, man, 8 years. So a lot of them, I know, I know their kids, I know their wives, I know or husbands, and so I build these long relationships with them, and I love them, and they love me, and so when I sit down to do business with them, it's still a visit. It's still it's a visit with a friend. It's not
Yeah.
work. So there's the time to be able to take a puff on the cigar and enjoy it, and
Exactly. It's business, but it's that's the thing about the cigar industry. It's business and friendships, intertwined, and it's yeah, there's some serious work that has to be done at times. That's like not the greatest, but like overall, that's a great business to be a part of because
yes,
it's something we all enjoy. Like I think it takes a special person, to really work in the cigar industry. You either have it in you or you don't.
I agree. I agree. Look, it's people. People often say that they want to be in the cigar industry. And I can tell you that when I went from being a consumer to being in the industry, it there was a little awakening. There was a little maybe smack in the face, right? Because I realized how many cigars I was going to consume. I realized, the windshield time with, you know, did it freeze? Are we good?
All right, hold on.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, the internet messed up. It's I'm in the shop, so
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, I think it takes a special person to
It does. I'm sorry to.
you either have it in you or you don't.
Yes, yes. It. Look, sometimes people don't realize what smoking 8 cigars a day really is. They
Yep.
don't realize what being in a room of 50, 60 people smoking cigars when you're doing an event, um, and what it really means, and how it's. I mean, look, it's. I love what I do, but you have to be of this breed.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, tell us about life on the road. Many people have misconceptions about being a cigar rep. They just think it's, sunshine and roses. It's not always that. Of course, you enjoy it, but I want you to give us the good, the bad, and the ugly about what it's really like being a cigar rep.
All right. Have you ever seen a 40-year-old man do the pee pee dance? You know, when
I
you're
probably have.
when you're on the expressway, right, and you're running late to an event, and you're just, dude, you're drinking water all day because that's what you got to do, right? And then you gotta get to somewhere, but you're driving and you got to use the bathroom, and next thing you know, your exit's not for another 2 miles, and then the pressure's on, and as you get closer, you start doing the pee pee dance. But look, that's my point is there's moments that you know that you find yourself in very awkward, uncomfortable, situations. Um, and again, like I said earlier, I'll say it again. You just have to be of this breed. Um, it's not for everybody. The windshield time. Look, I don't know how many audiobooks I've listened to in the last 8 years, um, but I've listened to a lot of them, and I've you know just a lot of miles, about 45 to be exact every year. Um, so I drive what a normal person might do in 2 years. I do it in or we as road warriors we do it
Yeah.
in um, the long hours, right? Sometimes you might start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and next thing you know, you got an event and everything else. And but by the way, I mean I care. And I'm not just saying this for people or whatever. I care. I want to give my best to everybody. I want to be able to, share the best that I have. So even though I've been going since 8 o'clock in the morning, and I've been driving and doing this and doing that, basically chucking and diving, right?
Yep.
And but it's time to put on the game face. So you throw on the jacket, you walk into the room, and you start cutting and lighting and talking to people about cigars, and you and you get energized. Why? Because I feed off the energy of the people. The people, they're excited. They want to hear about cigars. They want to smoke good cigars, and I'm going to try to give them the best that I got. I'm going to explain to them what Ashton is, right? The quality, the this, the that about Ashton, and what our cigars are, and why they should be smoking Ashton cigars. And but more than anything else, man, it's just I enjoy making friends, and I want to give them the best that I can. But so when 12 o'clock rolls around and you're still driving home, and you still got 2 hours to go, that's those moments where you start thinking to yourself, man, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So it isn't always peachy and rosy. Um, sometimes we get stuck in hotel rooms that, man, I don't know if it's fit for a horse. It's left for myself, but some people might say that I'm fancy like that, but uh, I think it's just in general, there's certain things that we have to put up with, there's certain things that we have to go through that's very uncomfortable, and yet people, I mean, it's a beautiful gig in the sense that it can be easily glamorized because we get to smoke good cigars. We get to hang out with some of the best people in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And and that it memberships has got its privileges, and that I will say, but at the same time, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Definitely. And outside of brands that you sell, what are some brands that you enjoy on a regular basis that you like to smoke when you have the rare chance to relax, when you don't got to smoke for work? Just outside of what you sell, like what do you enjoy?
So I'm going to say this, right? And most people are going to say, "Oh, that's he's a factory loyalist, right?" Um, but I'll tell you, man, I you know when I first got into the industry, I smoked a lot of the puros indios because my brother worked for them at one time, um, and Rolando Reyes Senior, rest in peace. Um, he was an amazing blender. And those were great cigars. Um, then, of course, I got turned on to my father's cigars for obvious reasons. Um, but I can tell you that Flor de las Antillas was one of my first go-to cigars that I know that for a fact I was smoking daily. Well, I'm sorry, let me correct myself. Jaime Garcia was my first one that I was smoking. It's the Petit Robusto. Um, and I smoked a lot of Fuente. a lot of Fuente, um, and love the sun grown Rosado Habano. Um, I Olivas. I mean, I've smoked around the humidors, in many humidors, but I can tell you. I mean, look, Tatuaje. I mean,
Mhm.
when I first got into smoking cigars, like for real, Tatuaje was on. I mean, just on top of the world. They were new. It was, everybody was, right on it. Um, and so I got on it too, man. I mean, bold, Nicaraguan.
Yep.
Um,
And he was the disruptor. He was one of the few guys with. Now there's more guys with tattoos, but he was the original one of the guys with tattoos back then.
yeah, yeah, and I think Pete Johnson came in with a different swag, and it was nice. Um, but I think, more than anything else, I appreciated the the artistic side of it, right?
Hmm.
The way that it was presented to people, and it was great cigars. Um, but but um, I smoked the Don Carlos before it was really the Don Carlos.
Yeah.
I was, I was blessed to have a specific moment where I was introduced to that cigar, um, by the man himself. So yeah, I smoke around the board, man. I hate just naming again the factories that that we work with and
Oh
the products
yeah.
out of there, because that's just what kind of comes to mind right now. But there's so many other great cigars that I've smoked, and that I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Perdomo. They have this limited edition petite Corona. It's a Cameroon wrapper. Um, Dude,
I
great.
might have at some point, and I'll have to like go back into the humidor to see. I don't think we have that, but
Nah, I haven't seen them in years.
yeah, it might have been out probably before my time. I've been smoking cigars for 14 years. It might have been out before my time then.
No, it was somewhere in there. But again, production wasn't big on these things. Very
Yeah,
late. Yeah.
awesome. So now, one time we were talking, you said you no longer drink. Was it a personal decision, or do you feel like it was taking over your life? And what benefits have you seen since you stopped drinking altogether?
So my life has made a 180-degree turn. I mean, just complete opposite direction. And not that not that my life was in a bad place, right? I
Yeah.
was look, very successful guy. I worked in I worked for Tiger Direct. I worked for pharmaceutical distributor. I've always been successful. I've always been able to do things, but health wise, it was affecting me because once I took this job, see, and that's part of the downfall or the downs of this job, right? Your eating gets out of whack. You're usually eating really bad food because of the hours that you're eating. Uh,
Hmm.
you're drinking, you're smoking. So when it's all said and done, there's a lot of reasons for acid reflux. So for me, my Achilles heel was the acid reflux. Um, it created a disruption in my life. Um, my voice got really raspy. It was just I was being affected really badly, um, and I chose to smoke cigars over drinking. Uh,
Awesome.
and there was a side effect to it, and the side effect was that I had a little bit more money in the bank account. I didn't make as many dumb decisions. That's it's just been a blessing that I didn't realize was going to pay so many dividends.
Yeah, I'm kind of like very similar, except I do drink. I just do it very seldom nowadays. So, if even people think that I don't drink because that's how little I drink now, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of good benefits as well. So, do you have any hobbies that might surprise someone if they found out, like, hey, I didn't know he was into that?
Man, I'm so vocal. I'm so I share, man. I'm a vocal, like I vocalize everything. I talk a lot. Um, if you haven't noticed, uh, but look, I love photography. Um, that's actually a really big hobby of mine. I have my own little Instagram photography thing, but I don't do much with it. I just take pictures here and there. Um, but I'm a little bit nerdy, man. I think really if we want to go like I love animals. I love to read about animals. I love to watch documentaries about animals. I can probably talk about um, most animals that you can think of. I can probably tell you some kind of interesting fact about them, just because I've spent that much time into it. So I'm a little nerdy like that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I used to actually be scared of dogs when I was growing up, and but I still like to watch stuff about dogs. Now I'm not scared of dogs, and so I know like a lot. So it's just interesting sometimes. I like certain like wild animals too. It's just pretty cool. So now from seeing your Instagram, I see that you like to travel a lot. What are some of your favorite places that you've been to?
Man, well, I got to say, Seattle is definitely a first, right?
Hmm.
Seattle for me, I don't know, man. I've never been to Seattle and it not have the perfect weather. Everybody talks about how rainy it is and this and that. I've never found myself. I mean, what? Let me take that back. The raincoat I own that everybody makes fun of, it's bright yellow, but I bought it in Seattle because I was going to a Sounders game, and I love soccer. Um,
I've been
and
to a Sanders game. I got my dad lives outside of Seattle.
nice, nice. So all right. So you know about Seattle? It's just beautiful.
Yeah,
It's got beautiful weather. And then the first time I went, I was still drinking, so I went to this bar called Cannon that has they advertise on the webpage over 1,500 different whiskeys, but in reality, when I was talking to bartender, he said that they had over 4,000 different whiskeys. I'll go with 1,500. I feel comfortable with that. They had whiskey everywhere, in the bathrooms, everywhere. Everywhere you walk, there was cases like metal cases of like storage of whiskey. So there was whiskey everywhere. That was a cool night, man. I met some dudes that were doing a little bar crawl, and they went from the whiskey bar to the rum bar to the mezcal bar, and they asked me to join them. I joined them, and man, that was an eventful night. You know, and But Seattle's great. I also went to Russia, um, and look, I went to Russia during the middle of the whole thing. That even the government's webpage said not, that they were recommending that U.S. citizens not go to the World Cup. Uh, because of tension between Russia and the U.S. Dude, I went. Me and my girl, we had a great time over there. Um, I went to Sochi, St. Petersburg, and Moscow. Uh, Biggest trip I've ever done in my life. First time I've ever been to like Eastern Europe or whatever, or Europe in general. Um, Dude, it really blew my mind. It was just a different world. A different, people were really nice. The politics that you hear in the news is up here, and then the people that are in the country are down here. And when you get there, there's none of that political stuff, man. They embraced me. They treated me great. I had a wonderful time out there, man, and it's a beautiful place. So, but those are two places that I can definitely talk a lot about. But I mean, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York. In the U.S., I can tell you, man, I've been fortunate to visit many uh, of the big cities and have great time there. Um, but those two places, man, those two places.
awesome. Yeah, Seattle, man. My dad lives outside of Seattle. He used to live like a little closer. He lives in the Lake Stevens area now, and just, I mean, the last couple years I went like during the winter time, but like if you go during the summertime, it's like during the day, it's like in the 70s. nice, sunny. Sometimes it rains or whatever, but Seattle's just it's nice. I don't really want to live there. I'm a Florida boy through and through, but I mean, they got, even though it's hard to be a cigar person in Seattle area, they still got a good cigar culture. I don't know if you ever been to Smoky Joe's over in Fife. That's like past Seattle, like a little bit. That's like one of the only places with like an indoor lounge and
Yeah.
stuff, and
Well, that's
just a really nice place.
that's the part that gets me, right? Because they're 420 friendly.
Yeah, but you can't smoke a cigar inside.
A cigar, right? It's like, what? What's going on here? What world am I living in? So
You
that
either have to smoke outside or travel a little, like an hour outside of Seattle to Fife to Smoky Joe's. Nice spot. I think they sell a lot of Ashton there too, so it might be a spot to check out.
um yeah, man, that gets me. Maybe I'm just a Florida boy through and through, right? Here we can smoke anywhere we want. You can
Yep.
go to the beach, wherever you are, you just light up and nobody says anything, and I can appreciate that. I love that. And So yeah, that's the only drawback, man. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
definitely. Now
growing.
we got one last regular question, and we're gonna get into like a few fun questions, and we'll end out the show there. So, do you have a least favorite place that you have traveled to? You just got there, you was like, I didn't like enjoy this as much as I thought I would, type thing.
Um, yeah, look, I'm gonna tell you, I I had a moment there in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Now, nothing against Hilton Head, South Carolina. It was more about the Airbnb that we booked than it was about the area, right? Um, but we made do, and we had a great time. We had a great time.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna get to the fun questions. So sometimes I do trivia, sometimes I, just ask some stuff. It might make you think a little bit. It's just fun, whatever. So we'll get into. I think there's like 9 or 10 questions. So, if you could travel to any year in a time machine, what year would you choose and why?
Wow.
See, I stump people sometimes.
Well, hey, I think if I could travel to a year, I might would pick 1958, and that would be simply and utterly because I'd want to meet my grandpa.
Mm,
My old man's dad uh, is. I've heard stories from uh, family members, friends of the family. I've even been in Panama with random people that don't know my family whatsoever. And when they get to asking about who my family is and this and that and the other, and they figure out who my grandfather was, they have great words to say about the man. Um, and I'd love to just have an hour conversation with him to be able
yeah,
learn a little bit more about why my dad is the way that he is and why he was such a great and, and stubborn dude. Because my old man never took no for an answer. So I gotta think that it come from his dad.
yeah, absolutely. Now, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Um, wow, that's another good one, man. I would uh, I would just say that I want to make sure that I was a little thicker skinned so that I didn't get my feelings hurt all the time. And now I'm not sensitive like, oh my god,
Yeah, you're
but
not a pussy, but
yeah, but I feel like there's so many times that I give of myself to help other people or to do for other people, and then when I may need and a little help or something with something, right? I don't get the same back. And so that's where I get like, man, that. So maybe that, just maybe make it so that I don't I don't care as much.
All right. And what's one of the most fun childhood memories you have?
I got to say, man, 1980, no, 1985. 1985, we got into our car in North Carolina, in Jacksonville, North Carolina. We drove down to Miami. We picked up my aunt and, uh, and my three cousins, and we got into the car and we went to Disney. Now, at the time, Disney was something that was very, like it was so grandiose and so special, Mike. For me, right? My family was a very humble family as kids. I mean, um, that it was a big deal. Um,
Yeah.
and and we went and we had such a great time. It was, us cousins and we were being jubilant, and we were being kids, and it was just
Hmm.
a very, very, very beautiful memory of my childhood. Get to
Awesome.
see, like Epcot Center and all the stuff that you've seen in TV, and then you get to see it in person.
Oh yeah. I think that's kind of how it was for me growing up. Like my family, we didn't have a whole lot. My parents came up later in life, but eventually, like, my dad took us, and we went on school trips and all that. We lived like an hour from Orlando, so we would go to Epcot for a field trip for school or something like that. And it's definitely when you're older, if you don't have kids, you got to be a Disney person, or take like a niece or nephew, because you don't want to stand out there in the hot sun. That's it's like torture when you're grown, unless you got kids.
Yeah, yeah. You've got kids, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you get lit up by their faces and how they respond, but if you don't have kids, you're like, fuck these kids. And if you could have dinner with a famous person, living or dead, who would you choose?
Oh man, I think for me it would probably be Wyclef. Um, Wyclef to me. Um, I, by the way, I was a band geek as a kid, so I played the trumpet. I learned how to play the baritone, um, and all that. So of course, then you fast forward, you see contemporary music being made by somebody like Wyclef, and what a lot of people know or don't know about him is that he actually went to Juilliard, and he's like a trained musician on
Oh yeah.
the guitar, the piano, the this, the that. I mean, the guy is a musical genius.
Hmm.
And so for me, it would be about understanding a little bit more about how that mind works, man. Because music, I love music. Music is emotions, it's feelings, it can do a lot for you, right? It can heal, it can make you angry, it can make you hyped up, it can do a lot of things for you. And so I love it, and yeah, I would want to pick a musical genius's mind like that.
Awesome. Uh, so what's your favorite movie to watch over and over again?
Oh, oh man. So Donnie Brasco, you know,
Yeah, that's definitely a good movie, and that's based on a true story, basically.
yeah, man. Look,
Pete Pistone, who infiltrated the mob.
yeah, you got Johnny Depp, you got Al Pacino. What else could you ask for? I mean, it's going
Yeah.
to be, and the story itself is intense. It's nerve wracking. I mean, you want to talk about um, a difficult situation to be in, right? Because here he is, he's trying to do a job, but now he's so deep that he's connected and he's, um, I mean, Lucky's his guy,
Yep.
and he's got to sell him out.
Hmm. Now, have you ever seen any real life interviews with Pete Pistone? Like, guy always wears sunglasses. Like, even though everybody knows what it looks like, but it's definitely an interesting guy because like, guy was an FBI agent, living a regular life, but still doing that, and it's crazy like the balance that he had. Like, it's weird.
I'm a personal belief, and maybe I'll get in trouble for this one, but I think there has to be some kind of multiple personality thing going on with him as well to be able to pull that off um, so deep, so well. So I mean, man, it's amazing. I mean, the guy is brilliant. Just
Yeah. I mean, there's other FBI agents that have infiltrated different, organized crime organizations. You got, like, the warlocks have been other, not the warlocks, but I forgot the gang, but like biker gangs have got infiltrated and stuff like that. Like, you gotta have, I mean, you gotta have a high level of intelligence to be able to pull that off in the first place. So,
yeah, yeah.
all right,
Nobody knows how
I'm
to
gonna
read.
go ahead.
He definitely knows how to read people.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna skip a few questions. I'm gonna ask like two more here, and so who is your celebrity crush?
Um, Man, Kate Winslet, man, all day, all day.
Nice. And finally, here, what's the wildest thing you've ever done?
Oh, oh boy. Um, Look, I mean, I jumped off a second floor roof, well, a two-story house roof into a pool,
Oh
right?
god, that had to hurt.
Um, no, thank God I went feet first, and it turned out okay. But after a couple drinks, everything seems like a great idea.
Yeah. A buddy of mine jumped off a roof and into a pool and posted on Instagram. Yeah, that. I mean, if you did a belly flop, you'd probably be destroyed on the inside.
Oh, for sure. And look, this was way before Instagram. I'm sure that if Instagram would have existed, this
You
would
would have
have been
went viral.
it would have been something like that because I came close to the edge of the pool.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I made it alive. I'm here.
Thank God. Thank God you're alive. So, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show tonight, man. I hope you had a good time and everything. And shouts out to everybody that tuned in tonight. Is there anything else that you want to, address or anything before we get out of here?
Man, just thank you for having me on, man. Again, I appreciate you. It's always a pleasure to chop it up with you. And I just thank you for having me on.
Ain't no problem. Oh, actually, there was a question that somebody asked, and he just reminded me because I wasn't trying to ignore it. So we'll just get into this real quick. I apologize, Billy. So, if you could smoke a cigar with anybody past or present, who would it be and why?
Well,
I'll let
uh,
you answer first, and then I'll.
okay. So I'm fortunate that I probably have had those experiences already. Um, I had the opportunity to smoke with Carlos Fuente Sr. before he passed in a very private, intimate setting. With it was just me and Chip Goldine with him, um, and it was just amazing how well he remembered me from the previous time that he had met me, and it just made me feel very special. And to me, he's definitely one of the cigar legends. You know, when we start talking about people that have created the industry and molded it, and and I've had the pleasure of being in Pepin Garcia's backyard, smoking with him, um, and cutting up and just hearing his stories of when he was in Cuba and how he got into cigars and and all the stuff and so for me, I possibly have already kind of had those opportunities and I'm just grateful for it. So I would dare say that there's probably um, uh, new ones that will pop up. For for why I would want to smoke cigars with those cigar people. But for now, I think I've kind of lived out the two, and I'm grateful for it.
Awesome. I'll answer now because he asked both of us. So one person, like I've communicated and all that, but I really want to have a sit down and smoke a cigar, just hang out with Carlito Fuente, and because we he follows what I do. We interact online and stuff. I've been in the same area as him. I just there were so many people around. I did not get that chance to meet him, but he was at the Great Smoke taping, and I was at the Boynton shop. He was supposed to come by after to hang out at the shop, but he was not able to make it. And he actually called me like the next day. He was like, "Brother, like I apologize." I was like, "Carlito Fuente's calling me. Like I'm not name dropping either. It's just he called me, and then and I was just like, "Wow, man! Like I appreciate your call, man. And like we'll definitely get together sometime." And so that's definitely gonna be. And I've talked with him. I've been on the Meet the Professor show, not as like a guest, but he had just random people. They had random people come on, and I came on there for a few minutes. So he's a good dude and very humbling. Like his whole family, they're one of the biggest families in the cigar industry, and like he follows what I do. Like that's very humbling. I mean, you can't ask for anything. He's a people person. So I want to sit down and actually have a chance to really hang out sometime. So yeah, so I appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody that tuned in tonight, I appreciate you, and everybody that's gonna tune in after the fact. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 400 subscribers, and I will let you know when we're not live, so we can talk that real shit. You guys have a great night.